Hello and welcome to Informavores. Here are today's top headlines. Iowa City experienced the lowest voter turnout in 30 years with just 9% of the voting public showing up. City Councilor Connie Champion was reelected, and the two University of Iowa students running for spots on the council, Jeff Shipley and Dan Talon, were beat out by a substantial percentage earned by Susan Mims and Terry Dickens. Ron Corbett beat out Brian Fagan and P.T. Larson to become mayor of Cedar Rapids with a commanding 62% of the vote. Former presidents George W. Bush and Bill Clinton will be meeting at Radio City Music Hall in February to debate foreign policy, economics, and current events. Tickets will be available Sunday and range from $60 to $1,000. Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin will share the coveted position as host of the 82nd Academy Awards. And three-time Tony Award-winning playwright Neil Simon, famous for The Odd Couple, Barefoot in the Park, and countless other comedies, experienced his first massive flop on Broadway when no one showed up to a revival of his play Brighton Beach. Coming up on Informavores, Republicans nab the executive branches of both Virginia and New Jersey. Maine bans gay marriage but approves medicinal marijuana. UI hospitals solicit outpatients for donations, and there might not be beer in heaven or on the UI band's playlist. This and much, much more coming up on Informavores. All right, hello and welcome to Informavores. I am Alex Schumann, and I'm here with my co-hosts Ryan Jones and Marcus Rippentrop. Now, if you'd like to join the conversation with us, you can hop onto Twitter or Facebook and just type in Informavores, and then we'd like comments, anything you got, any articles, information, or you can email us at informavores11@yahoo.com. Now, we're going to go into our first topic. If you are unaware, there were some elections yesterday, and the Republican Party essentially dominated both the elections in Virginia and New Jersey. So, I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys just a very basic beginning first question. What do you guys think this means for the Republican Party? Marcus?
I don't know that they won the elections. I'm not really looking at this as a huge... Chuck Grassley came out and said that it's not a referendum on Obama, as the GOP is liking to think that it is. I don't think people are looking way too deep into it. I just think that it's not a referendum on national politics or anything like that. I think it's just that the candidates in those states were stronger than the other ones. I don't see much more beyond that.
Don't you think, though, if the Democrats would have won, the White House would have been all over it and been like, this just proves how popular Obama's presidency has been maintained and things. Because, I mean, I agree with you, but White House Press Secretary Robert Gibbs suggested that quite a bit, because he said this has nothing to do with Obama, but hinted towards before the election that if it turns out good, we're going to go ahead and claim it. So
right, and I don't know. So you don't think? You don't agree with like the pundits and things like that. Neither of you agree that this is like a shift in voter ideals or anything like that. I don't think so at all. No, Ryan, do you have anything to toss in there?
I think it's a little bit of a shift because Obama won with a lot of by the help with the independents, and the independents are kind of switching over to the Republican vote now. Now, for the later elections, Democrats will need the independent votes to keep winning. And if this is a referendum on Obama and the independents are switching over to Republicans have a good stance later in elections.
Yeah, I would say that. Although in this particular case, because when it comes to Virginia, they have the complete tradition of shifting, and they've done this for 9 elections in a row, I believe. They elect the opposite of whoever is the party of the sitting president. There we go. And so that's what was going on there. And then in New Jersey, it's a mainly conservative state outside of the fact they're right next to New York, which is traditionally liberal. But I don't really consider it a referendum on Obama. These were very local races. And in the case of Virginia, atop of their tradition, the deeds or whatever the name was of the Democrat running for, that was the name, but I can't remember their first name, running for in the Democratic Party for the governor position, just had an awful campaign apparently, and these were really localized. So I disagree with pundits.
I don't really see local elections as a indicator or anything like that of national elections. Besides, your local elections for your national representatives. But as far as House races, like state House level, it's the state level of the House, state level of the Senate, and gubernatorial races, I really don't see that as influence national politics because so many people do not show up for local elections and other people that show up for national elections. I mean, the voter turnout in Iowa City was terrible.
Yeah, we saw incredible evidence of that.
And it's one note is that Obama won on the strength of, not solely, but it was a big chunk of young voters that came out to support the Obama administration in this past election in 2008, right?
Kind of.
Right.
Kind
but it was
now that has passed, we our statistics are showing that it wasn't like any incredible massive turnout and shift.
See, that's news to me.
I mean, it's been spun that way, but wow. I'm in a class where all we do is read this, and it's not evident that it was a higher turnout, but it wasn't as massive of a turnout.
Yeah, well,
there was an incredible shift in youth actually volunteering for campaigns and things like that. That's what changed.
See, what the point I was going to make though is that I was reading an article, I believe it was on Gazette or something like that, that the young voters did not turn out at all for this election. Like it was like all-time lows for young voters, which just shows that most people don't care about local elections. Which I don't think you can use that to you can't judge nationally by the low number of people that show up for state elections. I just don't think that's fair because it's not accurate.
Do you guys then think that was the cause of Jeff Shipley and Dan Talon not doing well in the Iowa City Council, or just because the youth didn't show up and maybe they concentrated on the youth? I don't know what their campaign tactic was. I never saw them go door to door, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, because I actually voted in the election, and there was a polling place in Burge, and after I voted, they said only 9 young people at Burge had voted that day. This was around like 3 o'clock, so the young people just aren't coming out at all.
Ouch. Okay.
Yeah, they just don't care. I mean, they don't see that the local politics translate into their daily life, which is weird because local politics makes so much more of a direct effect on your life than national, but people just don't care about that because they just don't.
So now earlier you were talking about gosh, I am struggling here.
Hey, it's still early. You're okay.
I'm all right. I'm going to recover. All right. So you were talking about state House and state Senate races, and there was the very well-known New York 23 race going on this time because Pawlenty and Palin and I believe even Limbaugh, not sure on that one, but I think so. Okay, yes. He did? Okay. Limbaugh all backed a more conservative candidate rather than the mainstream Republican. So this was kind of a race that they turned into this massive thing about the fate of the Republican Party. Now we know the Democrat actually won, and the conservative and the Republican ended up losing out because even though the Republican Hoffman dropped, yes, I think so. The Republican dropped out, she still got 5% of the vote, and that robbed the real conservative. Do you guys think that that's an actual shift in anything, or do you think it wasn't that big of a deal and it was just overblown? Because I would like to note for our listeners, because this was not publicized enough, but that seat in the New York House or New York Senate, I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but is actually going to be eliminated in a year and a half, and it is completely useless.
What the heck
But the
is the
media
point of
did
it?
not point that out because then it would not be as much of a horse race. So, but go ahead, guys. Go give me your thoughts.
I did not know that either. So, why is there a big deal about making
the fate of the Republican Party? Is it about this weird conservative? Although I'm sorry, this is just me, but I couldn't help but notice there's not that much of a difference between this conservative and mainstream Republicans. It's just that the woman that was running as a Republican was very liberal because once she dropped out, she backed a Democrat. She supported the Democrat. So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't really see this as a dissent in the Republican Party. I just see some big people backing another candidate because they didn't like a slightly liberal Republican. I don't see it as splitting the Republican Party in two. Although it did help the Democrat with stealing votes away.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got nothing. I just
okay. All right. Well, anyways, on to our next topic then. Marcus, would you like to